Alright, welcome back to the Norse Way. Before we dive into today's video, I had a really cool encounter right before I started recording. I had two different squirrels come running over here, like full sprint, dead ahead, and ended up stopping dead in their tracks, scared the living crap out of them, and they darted off. But to me, that was really cool, kind of funny at the same time, but really cool. But yes, anyways, let's get into today's video. So I want to sit there and kind of talk about three different resources that I feel would be extremely beneficial to people who are just diving into this faith, who are just starting to learn and don't really know as to what direction to go. And with these three resources, almost every single person has access to at least one of these resources. So if you're somebody who lives in a Christian family and doesn't have the proper guidance and proper people to go to, these resources are going to be beneficial in at least one way or another, at least giving you a step in the right direction. So what is before we continue, these resources are going to be from bottom to top, from not so good to good. So yes, what is resource number one? Resource number one is Google. Google is a great entry-level resource. It is something that you can just simply pull out on your phone, type in, myths and legends of the Norse belief and all this other stuff, and get an okay understanding of this faith, of this path. And Google isn't necessarily the greatest resource, only for the fact that anybody can sit there and put something on Google and be like, oh, this is true, when in all honesty it is not true. So anytime that you're using Google to kind of try to build your understanding or learn something, I personally would sit there and take it with a grain of salt, because you don't know what's fact, what's fiction, what's opinions, what's not opinions. So you gotta kind of take Google with a grain of salt. It's still a good resource, it's still something that can give you a better understanding of the faith, of the Norse pagan belief, but it's not the greatest. And, and it's the easiest thing for people to have access to, because you can simply just, pull out your phone and type in whatever you want and get information. It's just that information isn't always going to be the greatest. So option number two kind of falls into the same category of Google, but I kind of feel it deserves its own spot on this list. And that is YouTube. YouTube can be a great resource. You just have to find the right channels that are sitting there discussing the faith, discussing the beliefs and myths and legends and everything. And there's a lot of them. You got the Wisdom of Odin, and I know there's some people who have an issue with that channel, but I still think it's a very good channel for people who are just getting into this faith. You've got Jackson Crawford, who dives into it, and you've got a number of other channels out there that I cannot for the life of me remember what they're called. But YouTube can be used as a great resource. And you're still going to run into the issue of, is this person just talking circles, or do they know what they're talking about? And you will run into that. There's some channels that I've come across that are like, I really don't know if this person knows what they're talking about. But the cool thing with this faith is there's nothing set in stone. You can worship and practice this faith in your own way. It's just some people are kind of better at it than others. So YouTube is a great resource, especially for beginners. It's another thing you can just sit there and pull your phone out and look up. So to me, YouTube deserves its own spot. And then finally, option number three is something that I feel is hands down the best resource, especially for beginners, and that is books. Books, I feel, top Google, top YouTube every single day, 100% of the time. And here's why. First of all, you're building yourself a library of knowledge, information and resources. And you got your kids, you got your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, family, friends, whoever, can easily just sit there and be like, hey, this book looks really cool, can I read it? And then look at that, you're handing these books down to people, or letting people read the information that you have. So not only that, but it also, to me, is more meaningful and more important to sit there and just pull out a book and read a book compared to reading an article on Google. I mean, to me, there's more meaning behind that. It means more. And plus, at the same time, when you pass away, it's a cool little thing that you can sit there and pass on to your children. You sit there and you accumulate 5 million freaking books out there, and you can sit there and pass them down to your kids, and it can be something that, generation to generation, and your kids can add to that collection, and, continue to learn off of the stuff that you learned on. You can't necessarily do that with Google. I mean, Google and YouTube are super convenient compared to buying and ordering books, but to me, books have more meaning behind them than Google does. So those are kind of my 3 resources that I feel are great for beginners. Almost every single person has access to at least one of those resources. So kind of just work with what you have. If all you have is Google, then use it. Use it until you can expand into something else, into books, into actually meeting people, into, whatever. Just kind of use what you have at your disposal. Because at some point, you're going to gain the knowledge, you're going to gain the resources, you're going to run into people or like-minded people, and things are just going to expand from there. But yes, if you have anything to add into this, different resources that you feel are extremely beneficial to people that I did not mention, please feel free to throw it in the comment section. But we're going to kind of work on camp here a little bit, because I do want to do some camping videos at some point. So yes, I'm going to quit talking. Hit the like button, hit the dislike button. Also, please hit the subscribe button. I want to build a community of like-minded people. That way we can exchange information, we can exchange knowledge, and we can learn from each other. So please hit that subscribe button. But other than that, that is all I have for this video. So I'm going to get productive. So I will see you guys probably tomorrow.